Welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined, as always, by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Auster. And we're going to be taking a look ahead to the Prestige Racing this Sunday, coming to you from Longchamp, where, of course, we have the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. But before we get to the Arc, Paul, we're going to take a little look at the Prix de l'Abbé, which we get at 150. It looks quite a nice race. Sprint with 5 furlongs. 19 runners currently entered. And I guess we have to start with the going reports. There's a different going report just about everywhere. But a little bit of rain around in France at the moment. Looks like it might be good to soft ground for Sunday.
It looks like it. I mean, it depends who you believe. The Racing Post suggested good to soft ground this afternoon as of Friday. The clerk of the course said that the sting, the penetrometer thing, was at 3.3, which is the equivalent of good to firm in Britain. But as you pointed out, there's some showers about. I think let's work on the assumption it's probably going to be no quicker than good and probably maybe a touch with a good to soft in place. It's decent ground.
There's a few really good chances in this. At the top of the card, we currently have the globe-trotting Asphora. We've also got Montel, Rayevka, Afjan, Frost at Dawn, Night Raider for the Wafnan. First Instinct, Good Old Northern JM Jungle has an entry here. You've also got She's Quality, Sky Majesty, who's been quite a success this season for the Haggershard. You've got Magira, Rumstar, Pontos, Jawal, Ain't Nobody, Washington Heights, Megari, Star of Lady M, and Against the Wind at about 80 to 1 against the wind. Do you like any at a bigger price here, Paul, or sort of more towards the top of the market?
Well, this is a race where you need a bit of luck in running more than most other sprints because, the track at Longchamp is kind of at an angle. Of course, it doesn't affect horses when they're running, but certainly is for the viewing. And one of the issues is that they tend to move over towards the inside rail and it can become very, very congested. So luck in running, I think, is important. The draw, I suppose, some might say is important as well. Asphora, I think, has probably got a half-decent draw in 3, and Monte is in 1, and they're the two at the head of the betting. Mario Baratti's Monte and Asphora, who you mentioned, the mare that won at York on fast ground. Whether she's going to be quite as effective if there's just a bit of cut in the ground, I don't know. She didn't run, I didn't think, particularly well in the Flying 5 at the Curragh 3 weeks ago, so I probably would be looking away from her. Monte and Rayevka had a bit of a battle here on very soft ground 3 weeks ago at Longchamp in the Group 3 with Monte coming out on top. But Rayevka, I think, would be better suited by the better ground today. Looking down the list, looking at the British Raiders for a start, Night Raider. Now, there's a horse that's promised so much, isn't it? A horse that so much ability. It was 4th in the Nunthorpe and then 5th last time out in the Flying 5. One day it's going to get its act together and pop up. William Haggis has got 2 chances here. He's got this improver, First Instinct, who won a Group 3 at Newbury last time out. And he's also got Sky Majesty, who I think might be quite interesting, let loose over just 5 furlongs, been campaigned almost exclusively at 6. And I think they're just going to really take the brakes off and let this horse belt out. And Tom Marquand is on board. That's a 14 to 1 shot. The one, I'll tell you one that'll lead early, that'll be Pontos. Pontos, the Czech horse, who's terrifically fast. But although he was 3rd behind Monte last time out, I think he's probably going to struggle here. The one that I like very much is Frost at Dawn because she deserves a big win. She was just beaten her neck at Royal Ascot by American Affair in the Group 1. She was a very good 4th at Goodwood that didn't really suit her behind JM Jungle. And then she was 3rd, just beaten a length by Asphora in the Nunthorpe. Loads of pace. If she gets a clear run, and she's going to go well. And I'm encouraged that William Buick is back on board. That's no bad thing. So for me, Frost at Dawn, I would suggest, and maybe Sky Majesty, another one there to consider.
Well, I'm potentially not going to give any big surprises here with who I quite like for this race, and I'm going to be sticking with Asphora. I'm just really pleased to see that O'Sheen's back on board. I think she's a fantastic horse. You know, she can't win every race, and she doesn't win every race. But my hope is that she'll like this, and potentially go on and get another Group 1 this season. Obviously, she's been campaigned and had her whole season so far in the UK, and now she's obviously having a little go in France as well. So a little European tour for her, perhaps before going back to Australia. So I just think she has got a really good chance. I agree with you about the draw. They, like you said, they do all seem kind of concertina a little bit, don't they? Up kind of one rail, and I do think that it's going to be those low numbers where the winners are probably going to come from. I actually agree with you in Sky Majesty, and I also like the look of JM Jungle as well. But I'm just ever so slightly worried about their draw, and how much energy they're going to have to expend trying to get across, and whether they're going to get that kind of good track position or whether they're going to end up kind of boxed in. Whereas if Asphora can get a flying start out of 3, I think that they could find, especially these top 2 in the market on Tay and Asphora, they perhaps could find them a little bit hard to catch. So that's what I'm banking on. That's my rundown of the race. And I think we agree on our horses that I think we would hope would run quite well. So, yeah.
I think so. They do get surprises in this race, as they do all these big races at the end of the season, because some of them kind of are at the end of their tether as far as their form is concerned, and others might just be starting, to have a bit of a revival. So there's always surprises potentially at this meeting, and probably none more so than the race we're coming to, because it is one of the world's greatest races.
Yes, and it's worth an absolute mint, with the winner taking nearly 200, well, just over 200 million for this. So what? 2 million, sorry, not 200 million, with the winner taking 2 million for this race. But you got a little bit of a wait after the Prix de l'Abeille, because you've got the Arc de Triomphe, if you're watching in the UK, that will be off at 3:05. It's a fantastically stacked field. We've had some disappointing news this week that Strange won't take her place in the race, but we have got a very, very popular horse at the top of the market, and that is Mini Hawk. You've got Super Sumi booked for Aidan O'Brien, and then beyond there, we have Aventure. One of my horses to follow this season, Kalpana, takes her place. She's a little bit more fancied now than she was earlier in the week. You've also got Sozi, very good French horse. You've also got the Japanese with Byzantine Dream in the race. You've got Darius, Croix de Nord, Kalfakar, Jezora, and sort of bigger the rest really from there, with a massive 100-to-1 shot with Hot as Hell, who actually I think you tipped up at one point this season. I can't remember whether that was for Ascot or something, but do you like anything at that big of a price here, or
I'm always tempted by a big,
with smaller prices?
No, I'm always tempted by a good price in this race, because there's been so many. You remember, not long since Torquato Tasso. Do you remember that horse came steaming down the out? What was that, about 80-to-1 or something like that? And because I'm a year or two older than you, I remember there was a period in the early 80s when there was some extraordinary results at massive prices, and there've been surprises all the way through. Now, if you look to the bottom of the list, would you be that surprised if White Birch were to hit the frame? John Murphy's terrific grey, only just beaten by Los Angeles earlier in the season, back up to 1.5 miles. Perfectly respectable chance. And Los Angeles himself is 33-to-1. He was third in the race last year. So there's lots of value out there. I've spent quite a while on this race, and as you know, Izzy, I've written about it on our website here at the Horse Racing Network. The one thing I would say, and I'll stick my neck out here, is I don't think Mini Hawk will win. Probably go with 5 lengths now. I think she's a very, very good filly. I think she's been brilliantly campaigned, but she's not taken on the colts this season. Beating horses like we might take the long way home to win a Group 1. Is that good enough to win an ARC? I don't know. The world that she beat at Epsom, as we've seen, is probably a much better filling over 1.25 miles. So I think she's there to be beaten. And also she's got the stall 1 draw. And if she doesn't get out really fast, she's going to find a wall of horses coming across in front of her. And that could be race over. So what might appear to be a blessing, I think could become a curse. But she's got Sumion on board, great jockey. But I'm not convinced by Millie Hawke at this level against the colts and against the older horses as well at this level. Aventure, of course, was second to Blue Stocking last year, been trained all year by Christophe Furlong for the race. Got to have a massive chance after beating Gazora over the course and distance it was just 4 weeks ago in the Prix Vermeil. And that's often a really good guide to this race. Andre Fabre, has he won it 8 times, is it, so far? I think he's had 8 winners of the race since way back. Was it Trompolino, the first in 1987? Well, he's got Sozi, amongst others, who's a very, very good horse, Sozi. And that one is going to go up against Byzantine Dream again. They were first and second. Byzantine Dream beat him in the Prix Foy, but neither of them were at peak fitness. And of course, we've got 3 runners from Japan, and Japan have come so close to winning this so many times. I don't think anybody would begrudge a Japanese winner. And this horse went and won in Saudi Arabia a £1.2 million first prize in February. He's beaten Sozi in France. He's a Japanese superstar. But you've also got the Japanese Derby winner, Quadruno, who beat Dariz, who came into the race, on a really good run before finding the fast ground too much for him at York. So it's a really deep race. But I think if I were to suggest a couple in the race, I know you love Kalpana, and I can see her running very, very well indeed. But for me, I think the 2 I'd be taking at decent prices here are the horse that beat Quisana, beat Kalpana at Kempton, Giavolotto, who I think has been dismissed by them, saying he probably wasn't Kalpana wasn't fully wound up. But Giavolotto was also having his first run in 3 months. And remember, this horse has got a real classy backstory. He won the Hong Kong Vase, worth about £2 or £3 million at Sha Tin in December. He was third to Jan Bruegel in the Coronation Cup after a break. He's had another break, beaten Kalpana. Might go really well, Giavolotto. And the other one is the mare Quisisana, who is on a 5-timer. She absolutely bolted up over 1.25 miles last time out at Deauville in a Group 1. And she's bred to be even better at this 1.5 miles. So I'm very much feel that the bit of value there to split stakes on those 2, Quisisana and Giavolotto.
Well, I would say that I can't dislike Millie Hawke because I just think she's faultless. She's done, in my opinion, nothing wrong this season. And I get where you're coming from, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And she's done that every time. So I think she's a worthy favourite. But like you say, the race has got so much depth. Even I know you said that she could then potentially go and win by 5 lengths, which is just like exactly what we said with Delacroix as well, especially with Super Sumi on board. But it's I think like I agree with you that other horses are going to give her a bit more of a challenge here than she's perhaps faced previously. I do like the look of Aventure. The only thing that's putting me off of Aventure is that I wish the trainer form was a little bit stronger, especially when you've got the likes of, Aidan O'Brien's trainer form coming in here. He's currently operating at around a 22% strike rate. Andrew Baldwin's up at 23% strike rate. And one you mentioned, Andre Fabre, coming into the race at the time of recording at a 27% strike rate. So when you've got these trainers in form, it's hard not to follow that because obviously these are some of their better horses as well. So this should be a real showdown. But I would be lying if I said that my heart was not with Kalpana. I can't put her up as one of my horses to follow and not think that she's going to do the business here. in the Arc. I know she was disappointing over the weather, and she's had complete seconditis kind of all season. But if you look at last season, she did come to the fore in October. That was a Champions Day, and obviously this is in France. But, you know, I do think certain horses as well can kind of come to form at certain times of the year. And this is Calpana season, and we're ready to roll. I think she can do it. I'm really pleased to see, like I said, that Andrew Baldwin's horses are really hitting form, right on the arc, right on the money when it matters. And got Colin Keane on board. I think she could have a fantastic time. Her draw is quite reasonable as well. It's not the worst draw, drawn 10, mid-pack. Like you said, she's not going to be in Mini Hawk's position where she's got that wall of horses coming over. So she could find that she's just sat in quite a nice position, and I would hope that that will mean that she can get the win. But yeah, I probably would. I personally would probably have the top three as the top three in the market. I don't particularly fancy the Japanese horses, but that's probably where I'll be wrong and they'll come flying through. But I think the market's got it about right. But my heart and my money will be with Calpana on Sunday.
Well, the thing about Calpana is, you know, she really has been trained for this race, isn't she? You know, that's been the target. You've made a good point about the fact that she really does her best in the autumn. We have to remember it was soft ground, generally deep ground when she won at Ascot. So any rain that they get at Longchamp, every drop is going to help Calpana. If it doesn't come, that might just temper her chance a little bit, but she's got to be right there. And I just think it's a much more open race than the 7-2 that they're offering about Mini Hawk. If I was a bookie, I'd probably be skint because I always stick my neck out. But if I was a bookie, I'd be trying to get Mini Hawk as much as possible because I'm just not convinced that the overall quality of the horses she's been beaten measures up to some of the top notches she's going to be up against. But we'll see. Maybe she's going to prove me completely wrong and go and blast them out of the water. It is a really exciting race to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole season has been building a lot towards the Arc. We've had so much Arc talk, haven't we? And I know it's obviously really popular every year, but like you say, especially the likes of Calpana, it's been really clear that she's being purely campaigned for this race. So it's good to see that she's going to be taking her place as well, because obviously so much can go wrong before then. But I will say that is all we have time for. I hope that you have the best time if you're heading to Paris for the Arc this weekend. Please do send in your pictures over on the Horse Racing Network Twitter so that we can see them and perhaps get them up on the channel in a future week. But good luck with all your selections, and don't forget to have a nice French stick with you on Sunday while you enjoy the Arc.